man was right.
I thought the Denver Nuggets would push Oklahoma City to 6 or 7 games. I did like the Thunder to win the series based on depth and levers their coach could pull. But the series, if you listen to odds makers, they thought it was going to be a landslide. And I'm sorry, even the odds makers don't quite understand how good Jokic is. I thought yesterday by about mid to late second quarter, they ran out of gas. Murray didn't do anything. Aaron Gordon was playing at about 70%, but I thought it would be a close series, and it was.
Yeah. I mean, this was an awesome series, honestly. I know if you're a Denver Nuggets fan, you're obviously going to be upset, and I get it. But Colin had a take that I completely ripped last week where he talked about, everyone should be traded except for, like, Jokic. And I was like, seems kind of crazy. Like, what are we talking about here? And the fact that they took the Thunder, who are favorites to win it all, they took them to Game 7. And I know the game ended up being a blowout. I get that. I understand that. But it was like, I think I wrote it down, a 1-point game with 3 minutes to go. In the second quarter, right? So 3 minutes before the half, and then everything just got blown open. And then it was the feeling of just like, I don't want to say the Nuggets giving up, but they lost the belief. They lost their belief. They were obviously not full strength. And it's actually kind of perfect that the Nuggets lost to OKC, because I think OKC has the player that they need in order to be able to more reliably win. And that's Caruso. Right there, I said, the Nuggets have a Russell Westbrook who they want him to be kind of like the Draymond Green, but he's not good enough. He's not in his prime. They need someone who's in his prime. They need the Draymond Green in his prime type player, or the Caruso type player, or the Drew Holiday type player, but like in his prime, someone who's experienced, someone who's not either 22 and doesn't just quite get it yet, and not someone who's 33 who's, minutes away from retirement. And I think Caruso is like a great example of that type of player. Obviously, it's all different. I'm not going to say that Drew Holiday, Caruso, Draymond Green, that they're the same type of player, but in a lot of ways, they do all the things that people just really don't always appreciate, don't always get their recognition, doesn't always show up in the box score. They're not making logo threes. They don't have handles that make your mind, that make you go crazy. But they're the player that essentially every championship team always has and always will need. And it is something that I feel as though that the Nuggets do lack. And you see moments of it. You see Aaron Gordon kind of do it at times. You see Brown kind of do it at times. Westbrook kind of do it at times. But like, those types of players know their role. Drew Holiday understands his role. Draymond Green understands his role. Caruso understands his role. And because of it, they continue to do the things that they need to do. The Australian, can't think of his name right now. He had a very short career, relatively speaking, but when he won the ring with LeBron and the Cavs, can't think of his name right now. A similar type of player, not exactly what I mean, but someone who can just do the dirty work day in and day out, and especially in a 7-game series. And it's like, that's what I feel like the Nuggets need. And also the Nuggets need to evolve, like even with just the players on the court. Michael Porter, like, his game doesn't have to just be 3 points or bust. Like, the guy's not shooting great, and yet he's still taking these like tough contested fadeaway 1-foot jumper, one-footed jumpers. I wish he took more 1-foot jumpers, because like he made a couple baskets that were really short mid-range, and it's like, you're big, you're strong, you're athletic, you're young, you got hops, you're twitchy. Like, evolve your game. And that is a coaching thing then. I blame coaching. Like, evolve your game. It doesn't have to just be, I'm either going to make a bunch of threes and help us win, or I'm going to be a complete liability. Because I think Michael Porter can still add a lot to this team. But it's got to be coaching, right? Like, your game has to evolve and grow and change. And it also has to change depending on what the game needs from you. You should not play the exact same way in game 3 and game 7. game 1 and game 6 this series and then last series. Like, things have to change. Things have to evolve. And I don't see that, which is why, again, I put that on coaching. And obviously the Nuggets had a weird coaching situation this season, specifically, obviously at the very end of last season. But I see this Nuggets team as just needing some tinkering. And unfortunately, the NBA is not like the NFL, where it's a little bit, I feel like it's a little bit easier to sometimes find like a hot shot up and coming OC that can like really transform your offense and it can really fix your quarterback or something. And then he'll be able to like poach a couple other, great defensive minds. And so you can really build, I feel like in a lot of ways, it's a lot easier to build a great coaching staff a lot quicker than you could in, say, the NBA. It's why we see the same, that's why Doc Rivers just keeps getting hired everywhere he goes. We're like, well, he's a coach. Okay. And so I don't know what the Nuggets do from that perspective of how they can really take it to the next level. And maybe if a whole season now with a new coach, or the continuity that they have, in this situation can help. Yeah, I was trying to see if there was any updates in terms of like what they'll do with him, at coach, if they'll make him the full coach or what. I don't have that answer, honestly, because you just don't know enough about, it's harder to judge the quality of a coach on such a short window of time, especially in basketball, because you just don't know. In football, it's a little bit easier. You can see, how was the play calling? What was the team ready to play? Does the quarterback look more comfortable? Is the defense more aggressive? It's a little bit more straightforward in a way, even though it's way more complicated, honestly. I mean, the coaching staffs in the NFL are just ridiculous, but I think it's just maybe a little bit easier to see when you're sitting at home watching TV compared to basketball. It's hard to always see when you're watching a basketball game the coach's influence within a game, outside of like obvious things like, oh, he called a timeout, he challenged a play, etc. But I still think that the Nuggets are in pretty good shape when it goes to 7 games with potentially the NBA champions. Clearly still a top team in OKC, and you were right there with them during a year where you had a lot of turmoil. You fired your coach. Jamal Murray was injured or then sick, and you have Aaron Gordon hurting his hamstring grade 2, etc., etc., etc. You're relying on Westbrook. I think I'm curious to see what type of offseason moves they make, but I don't think they have to be too dramatic, too drastic. But changes do need to be made, but I think they're more inches away from being from winning another title rather than feet and yards away, miles away. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Denver Nuggets coming up short? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.